अथर्व असेल तर नाही तर आपण लाईव्ह जाऊया.
हा हा सागर, तुला लाईव्हचं बटन दिसतंय का तिथून? म्हणजे तू लॉग इन केलंय का?
अथर्व लाईव्ह असेल तर त्याचं सेट आहे सगळं. आपण लाईव्ह
ओके
करूया याच्यावरती.
ओके.
एकच सेकंड फक्त.
मृण्मयी जोशी शेअर करतेय फोटोज इमेजेस आता मेलबर्न मधनं काढलेले.
ओके.
मृण्मयी जोशी आणि मंदार जोशी शेअर करतायत इमेजेस.
ओके. अथर्व आहे का?
हो 2 मिनिटांसाठी हे शेअरिंग ऑफ करूया.
हे कर काय लाईव्ह जाता.
लाईव्ह स्टार्ट करू.
हो चालू करूया.
लाईव्ह स्टार्ट करतोय फेसबुक वरनं,
युट्यूब वर पण
लाईव्ह स्टार्ट करतोय. युट्यूब वरती तू कर.
केलं. वी आर लाईव्ह ऑन युट्यूब. So welcome everyone. Till the time we get stream from either Australia or US, let's have a quick introduction about JVP. So over to you, Prayag.
Yes. Thank you, Sagar. So welcome everyone to this live stream. So this live stream is being conducted by Jyotirvidya Parisanstha, or JVP as it is popularly called. So JVP is an association of amateur astronomers based in Pune since 1944. We have been working in the field of observational astronomy for more than 75 years. JVP operates a full-fledged optical observatory from Pune atop Kesariwada. From there, we take various observations of variable stars, and we also conduct astrophotography. So today I welcome you all to the live stream of Lunar Eclipse, which is being captured from various parts of the world by different JVP members. I look forward to getting good data and getting good questions from all the participants. Welcome.
Thank you, Prayag. So we are still waiting for the feed from both the locations. So till the time, Bhargav, can you give
these two portions of the shadow? And then you can see the transition of the moon from one side and exit from the other side. And as it enters the penumbral and the umbral regions, there are different types of eclipses that occur. And that also depends on the location where you are observing from the Earth.
Bhargav, can you give?
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Nothing, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, right. So these are basically the three types of lunar eclipses, right? So the first is total lunar eclipse. Then we have the partial and the penumbral lunar eclipse. So as you can see in the diagram below, there are two circles. One is for the umbral, the second is for the penumbral. So as the name suggests, a total would be because of the totality, the entire moon being eclipsed. The partial of course occurs when only a part, we can say half the portion or 3/4 of the portion is illuminated. And then we have the penumbral. So it will be more clear in the next image. Okay, I guess there's some disturbance.
Yes. So everyone is requested to keep mute. Bhargav, Neela is ready with the first image. So
Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Yeah. So Neela, you can share the image. Great. So totality is nearby. It will start in maybe 10 minutes or so. Great. So we can see at almost 90% of the moon is entered into the umbra of the Earth. Okay. So let's wait for a minute, or let's show this image for a minute, and Bhargav, we can continue with your eclipse presentation till the next image will come. Okay, maybe Bhargav, we can go ahead with the presentation, and we'll keep on updating the images.
Okay. So yeah, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So as we saw earlier,
just a minute, Bhargav. So I think multiple people can share the screen. So maybe Nilay, you can keep shared your screen, and we can see the images as well as PPT simultaneously. Bhargav, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, right. So this image was shown earlier. So as you can see in the penumbral region, the first image of the moon when the moon is entering in the penumbral region, and as the moon progresses in its orbit, you can see the orbit of the moon is shown in the figure. And as it progresses in its orbit, it is going to get covered, rather it is going to get eclipsed. So the photo that we saw earlier, that is how the moon would look, right? So as the moon keeps on moving forward, it enters into the umbral region, and at the center you can see a darker region. So that is when it is going to be the totality, right? So let's try to understand how exactly this phenomena occurs, and let's try to see what is the reason behind this. Yeah. So these are some of the regions that we have highlighted. So you can see the partial eclipse starting when the moon partially enters the umbral region, right? So this is a much better image. So as you can see at the central region, which was the umbral region, you can see the total eclipse happens when the moon is entirely in the umbra, and this is how it is going to look. Yeah, so this is one of the most important questions. So as we know, we have the full moon and the new moon, right? So why don't the eclipses occur on every full and new moon? So, and the reason behind this is astronomical, and let's try to understand the astronomy behind this. So as you can see on the image, plane in which the earth revolves around the sun, that plane is called as the ecliptic plane, okay? And as seen from the earth, we can see that ecliptic, that is the path traced by the sun in the night sky or in the sky, that is the ecliptic. Whereas in space, it is the plane in which the earth revolves around the sun. However, the plane in which the moon revolves around the earth is not exactly aligned with the same. It is not parallel to the earth's ecliptic plane. It is slightly tilted to the earth's ecliptic plane. So as you can see in the image, the orbit of the moon is inclined to the ecliptic plane by almost 5 degrees, by roughly 5 degrees. So it is shown better on the image below. So let us try to take an example. So if this is the plane in which the earth revolves, the moon is going to revolve slightly in an inclined manner. Okay, it is not going to revolve in the same plane, not coplanar. It is going to revolve in a slightly inclined manner. And that is shown the 5-degree tilt. So because of this, what happens is at every full moon and at every new moon, we do not see eclipses. Eclipses can only occur when the sun, the moon, and the earth achieve a single, you can say, planar orientation. And that is only when an eclipse can occur. So these 2 points, when an eclipse can occur, are called as the nodes. Okay, they can be lunar ascending and descending nodes. So when the moon is moving from the northern towards the southern side of the ecliptic, that would be the descending node. And when the moon is moving from the southern to the north side of the ecliptic, that would be the ascending node. So when the moon arrives at either of these 2 nodes, we get an eclipse. So if the moon is between the earth and the sun, that would be a solar eclipse because the sun is being eclipsed. And depending on whether the moon is at perigee or apogee, it will be a annular solar eclipse or a total solar eclipse. So if the moon is closer to the earth, it is going to appear big, and that will result in a total solar eclipse. The entire disk of the sun will be covered. On the contrary, if the Earth is between the Sun and the Moon, then the Moon is going to be eclipsed. And that is what we are going to see today. It is called the lunar eclipse. These 2 points in Indian astronomy, these 2 nodes, ascending and descending nodes, were called Rahu and Ketu. And there is also a story which we'll cover later, if there is time. So this is basically the reason why there are no eclipses on every full and new moon. Yeah, so this is more, the illustration is quite self-explanatory. As I said about the 2 nodes, ascending and descending node. So let's try to visualize this image right now. If you just look at the image on the left-hand side, you can see that the plane of the moon's orbit and the plane of the Earth's orbit has been highlighted. And the line of the nodes has been drawn. So whenever this orientation is achieved between the 3 celestial bodies, the Sun, the Moon, and the Earth, it is also called syzygy. That is when an eclipse can occur. And so the different points at which the eclipse can occur has been shown. So it can either be a solar or a lunar eclipse. So this is how the diagrammatic representation would look. Yeah, so on the left hand side, now you're going to see an image. So if you see the white line, that is the ecliptic. It means that the Earth is revolving in that orbit. And then we have the moon's orbit, which is inclined by 5 degrees, as I said. And now the Earth's shadow is going to fall on the moon. Eclipses are a result of shadows. Phases are not because of shadows. Phases are because of the illuminated portion and the orientation. Eclipses, on the other hand, are because of shadows. So you can see on the left-hand side image that the shadow of the Earth is going to fall on the moon, right? And that is going to get partially covered.
Bhargav?
Yeah.
Actually, Nilay has shared next image. I don't know why it's
Okay.
not visible here. Can you stop sharing your screen?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. So that's a next image, and we can see a red moon now. Let me check how.
Hi, Sagar. I think you said we can share multiple screens at the same time, right?
Yes, that's possible actually. Can you zoom this image a little bit? Correct. I think we still have 10 minutes to start total lunar eclipse. So that's why you can see here some part of the moon is glowing bright and most of the part of the moon is red now. So we'll wait for a few minutes more and we will see a red moon. Okay, so till the time next image will come, maybe Bhargav, you can continue.
Okay.
Just a minute.
Yes.
Actually, we could have seen multiple screens. I don't know why we cannot. That's okay. Maybe Bhargav, you can continue for maybe 2-3 minutes. And
Okay, sure. So as you can see on the screen right now, we can see an image on the left hand side, and we can see that the moon is totally red. It turns red. And this is what can be seen when the totality is achieved. So on the right hand side, you can see many of the images that have been clicked. Now the thing is, since we have more time, we can discuss a Indian astronomical concept, right? So for the measurement of eclipses for the solar as well as lunar, there are certain experiments that have been performed in Indian astronomy. So they were performed on the basis of gnomon, a vertical stick, right? So the vertical stick was basically used to study the shadows. So depending on where the shadow is, we could find out the declination of the sun, and then we could also find out how the sun is moving in the sky. Depending on how the sun is moving, we could determine the time of eclipses, we could determine from where the eclipse is going to occur. And this experiment was also performed by Aristarchus of Samos from Greece. So Aristarchus of Samos had also discovered the phenomena of eclipses, and he was probably the first one to propose the idea of heliocentrism. So there have been many instances where eclipses were studied in ancient Indian astronomy as well as in Greece. So regarding the lunar eclipse, there's also a story. Since we have some time, we can discuss the story before moving on to the next image. So there was a story in Indian mythology, you can call it, a story from Puranas. So according to that story, during the thing of Samudra Manthan, there's a story about Samudra Manthan. So everyone was getting distributed the elixir of immortality, and among the devas, there was a demon called Swarabhanu who sat in between the devas, and the you could say the elixir was only preserved for the devas, whereas this was a demon. He was a demon, and so the sun and the moon noticed that Swarabhanu has entered the line of devas by disguise, and so they complained it to Vishnu, and so Vishnu beheaded the Swarabhanu demon, and then two parts were created. I mean, he was divided into two parts. One was his head, and the other was his tail. And these two parts later came to be known as Rahu and Ketu. And that story is still being used to explain the phenomena of eclipses, you can say, in Indian folklore. But that is not the case here. There are no demons or something in the sky, of course. And Rahu and Ketu are many a times misunderstood as planets, whereas in reality, they are the two nodes of the moon, ascending and descending. And now the thing is, these two nodes also move in the retrograde fashion. So these two nodes are moving in the opposite direction of the rotation of Earth. So now in the image in front of you, there's a video which is followed by this image. Unfortunately, I'm not able to play the video. Yeah, Sagar, could you play the video? Because it is not being played on my screen.
Yeah, otherwise you can play the video directly from the player.
Okay.
Or else I can share my screen and
yes. Okay. Sure.
You can stop sharing. So Nilay, is there next image available?
Yes, I have it.
Okay. I will stop sharing and let's see the next image. Great. So you can see now more than 95% of the moon is in the umbra of the Earth, and we can see a very small bright portion of the moon, and most of the moon is turning red now. That's great. Is it possible to zoom it a little bit? Kimayak, what is position at your end? Are you able to give any live stream?
Yes. I think Mandar is able to share a few images that he has taken with SLR. Let me ask him if he can share his screen.
Yeah.
It's Mandar Joshi.
So Kimaya and Mandar are right now in Australia. Okay, great. So I think this is start of the eclipse.
This is the start of an eclipse.
I think you need to mute or turn off speaker of one of the uh, uh, device because there is a echo. Kimaya and Mandar. Can you share your screen again, Mandar? Okay, great. So you have more images to show that? Yeah, Kimaya, go ahead.
This is the second image when it was just taken half an hour ago.
Oh wow. So that's
All these images are taken when it was in penumbra stage. Moon had entered into penumbra stage. So the partial eclipse. So Mandar and Runmai are taking images, and they've been uploading it.
okay. So you are in Melbourne, right?
Yes, we are in Melbourne.
Yeah, it's almost there. So I think totality will start in a couple of minutes. Till
Yes,
the
in a
time.
couple of minutes here in Melbourne, we will have totality.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So
could actually just share my screen and try and see if I could.
sure. So till the time totality starts in a couple of minutes, let's have a look at one short video prepared by NASA regarding lunar eclipse.
If you looked at the moon over the course of a few weeks, you'd probably notice that it looks slightly different every day. The change in its shadow is based on where the moon is in its orbit. We call this cycle the phases of the moon, and it occurs roughly once a month. At least twice a year, however, something quite different happens. The moon passes through the shadow cast by the Earth, causing it to look extremely unusual for a short period of time. From the Earth, the moon will appear to darken and turn a deep red before eventually returning to normal. This is called a lunar eclipse. If we were to look at what happens from space during an eclipse, it would go something like this. First, the moon passes through what's called the penumbra, where the sun's light is only partially obscured. This results in only a slight darkening of the moon. As the moon continues along its path, however, it enters what's called the umbra, where all direct light from the sun is blocked. But if the sun is blocked, why does the moon turn red? When light from the sun goes by the side of the Earth, it passes through a long and thick layer of Earth's atmosphere. Shorter wavelengths of sunlight, like blue, are scattered by the atmosphere, so by the time the light has finished its trip to the moon, more of the longer wavelengths, like red, are left over. On the Earth, the same thing happens at sunset as the ground you stand on gradually passes into night. As the eclipse ends, the moon leaves the umbra, returns to its normal color, and then leaves the penumbra, brightening and resuming its original cycle. Overall, the whole process lasts only from a few minutes to a few hours, so you'll have to be quick if you want to see it. But, as long as you're willing to stay awake, you'll catch the moon as you won't see it too often.
Okay. So that was a short video made by NASA. So Nilay and Kim, whenever you have next image, please share your screen. Hello. So Bhargav, there is some issue with YouTube streaming, so you can continue and we just have a look at that.
Okay. Okay, I guess it is just the, this is going to be the tabular format of today's eclipse. Is my screen visible?
It was
Not
actually.
yet.
It was visible earlier, now it's not.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so I think Mandar is sharing the screen. So Mandar, please wait.
Okay.
Okay, so
Hey, Sagar, I have the next image as well. If you...
okay. Okay, so Nilay, maybe you can share your screen. So, so we can see now that it's almost totality. The moon has almost entered umbra of the Earth, and we can almost see the entire red moon now. Okay, so this eclipse is not visible from India, and as you know, we are telecasting this live view of eclipse from two places right now, from USA and from Australia. And Totality Approaches members are present there, and they are helping us to view the live stream from there. We are also going to try from New Zealand and Tokyo as well. So members who are present in New Zealand and Tokyo are expected to join soon. So Bhargav, you can continue. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, I'll just explain on this image that
Yes.
presenting.
Sure.
Yeah, so the thing is, one of the peculiar things that needs to be noticed is a lunar eclipse, when it occurs, it should be on a full moon. Otherwise, it won't be a lunar eclipse because that position is basically of the full moon position. And if you notice that today is indeed a Purnima, on the contrary, when the solar eclipse occurs, it should be on the new moon position or an Amavasya. So this is a pivotal reason because the orientation of the moon, the sun, and the earth should be in such a way that the earth should block the rays coming from the sun. So earth should be in the center, and the orientation of the moon should be such that it should go into the shadow region, umbral and penumbral. So now the thing is, as explained earlier, this happens twice in each lunar orbit. So the moon is on the same horizontal plane as both the earth and the sun. And if this corresponds to a full moon, the sun, the earth, and the moon will form a straight line, and the moon will pass through the earth's shadow. And this results in a total lunar eclipse, which we are going to see. So the thing is, you need to be on the night side of the earth while the moon passes through the shadow. And for today's one, May 26, 2021, it will be middle of the Pacific Ocean maybe, and east coast of Africa and the west coast of America. And it might be visible between 4 and 6 a.m. Right. Now, the significant thing that we saw in the video earlier was that why does the moon look red? So when the moon is completely covered by the Earth's shadow, it will darken, but it doesn't go completely black. On the contrary, it takes a red color, which is why total lunar eclipses are also sometimes referred to as the red or the blood moon. So these are referred to in the mythical tales as the blood moon. Now the reason for this is the sunlight or the spectrum contains all colors of visible light. The particles of gas that make up the Earth's atmosphere, so they are more likely to scatter the blue wavelengths of light. So in the Vib-Gyor series that we know, the blue color light is scattered more by the Earth's atmosphere, whereas the redder wavelengths pass through it. And this is called the Rayleigh scattering experiment. Rather, there is an experiment which was performed on this, and this phenomena is called Rayleigh scattering. And that is also the reason why sky is blue and sunrises and sunsets are often reddish in color. So now in the case of lunar eclipse, red light can pass through the Earth's atmosphere and it is refracted, or you can say bent towards the moon, while the blue light is filtered out. And this leaves the moon with a pale reddish hue during an eclipse. And that is why we are, what you're seeing in front of you, the reddish color of the moon. And the reason behind this is simply scattering or the refraction phenomenon. And that is why you're going to see the red moon as it gets into the totality region. So there is a tabular format which we have represented, which we would soon reveal it to you. But before that, let's just try to see the images as they are presented.
So here we have next feed for us? Or Kimaya?
Yes, Rudmai Joshi will share some images.
Yeah.
Sorry, Atharva, can you let Mandar share some images?
Maybe Nilay, you have to stop sharing. Is it possible to zoom your screen? There do you have your
Yes, just a moment.
So here in Melbourne, moon is entering into total eclipse.
So that's the view from Melbourne. So that's the view from Melbourne, Australia. Yeah, now this is the view from the US. So here I can zoom in a little bit. So Nilay, can you tell our viewers a little bit what is your latitude, longitude, place, and how is the weather at your place? Hello, Nilay.
Hi, Sagar. Yeah, so I'm in San Francisco Bay Area right now, near San Jose. So I'm at about 37.3 degrees north and about 122 degrees west. So we are on the west coast of US in the state of California. The seeing conditions are excellent right now. No cloud cover whatsoever. And I am getting a really good view of the eclipse right now. So the totality has started here about 9 minutes ago, and it will go on for I think about next 5 minutes, and then we'll start seeing the next phase. So this particular image was taken about 2 to 3 minutes ago.
Can you talk a little bit about what equipment you are using?
Sure. So we are using a Canon 550D camera right now. We had some issues with streaming directly on laptop, so we are taking the images and then immediately transferring them on screen share. So trying to refresh the images once or twice every couple of minutes. Again, about the equipment, it's a Canon 550D camera at 300 mm zoom lens.
Kimaya, can you also talk a little bit about your place, your lifelong, and climate conditions over there?
Yes, thank you. So we are in Melbourne. Today we've had a bit of a cloud cover. It's been a cloudy day here, but by the evening, sky got a bit clearer. We are just now entering into totality. It would, I think, last till 9:20ish. So at the moment, it's 9:21 p.m. here in Melbourne. So I'm here with my friends. It's Mandar Joshi, who's taken most of the images, and he would share some more images with us. So I think we really hope to see further. I think because of the cloud cover, we do not see the clear, like a red shade in the moon. But yeah, eclipse, it's previewable. It's a good view.
So it's a little bit cloudy there.
Yes, it is. It is Melbourne weather. It's pretty unpredictable, actually. So
right now is perfect.
It's perfect tonight, but still it could have been slightly better. Yeah.
Yeah, and so the viewers who are watching us live on Facebook and YouTube, so you might have seen the table which Bhargav has showed, and the totality this time is I think just for 14 minutes. That's too short time. Before. Otherwise, it can go as long as 1 hour or even more, little more than that sometimes. But for this eclipse, totality is really short, just for 14 minutes.
Yes. Yeah. So for Melbourne, I think it begins at 9:11 p.m. and the totality ends at 9:25. So pretty much, I think we've got another couple of minutes. But still, I think it would be beautiful to watch the moon for, I think, next couple of hours as it moves out of penumbral phase.
So, if people have updated images, can you share?
Yeah, I'll ask Manda to share some updated images. So funny thing is, so since 2000, this day in Melbourne particularly has been 75% times cloudy. So we are lucky that tonight we got to watch eclipse at this clarity. So I'll just ask Manda to share his images and speak a few words.
And in India, we are unfortunate that for last 3 years almost, we have not watched or we are not lucky to see total lunar eclipse. Last eclipse which was seen, or last total lunar eclipse which was seen in India, it was in 2018, or to be precise, it was viewed on 27th July 2018, and next total eclipse can be viewed on 7th September 2025. So almost for 7 years, Indians will not see total lunar eclipse. That's really unfortunate. But we are lucky that we are getting some live stream here, and we can watch it live with the help of our friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Just another note, actually, some of the organizations here, they do live stream Southern Hemisphere and skies. So any of you if ever interested, there is Sydney Observatory and other Astronomical Society of Victoria. They keep streaming Southern Hemisphere skies, which generally are pretty, I think, rare to watch.
Right.
And the celestial objects that we see here during winter, I think that you would see in the Northern Hemisphere during summer. So some of the constellations that, we would see during this month, I think 6 months down the line, you would get to see those objects. So it's a good experience. And, having lived in Pune, being, done good amount of star parties with JVP, I feel really, fortunate that I have basic understanding thanks to all of you in JVP.
Great. So we in India, we live in Northern Hemisphere, and we really don't get chance to see visible sky, especially, and you're lucky that you can get the chance. So if there are next images, maybe we are waiting. Nilay, Himaya, Mandar.
Yes, yes. We are just sharing that right now
Some
on
images.
the yes, from the SLR, just downloading some images,
Hmm.
and I will share that soon.
Sure.
I guess Praya can perform a stellarium demonstration till then. He can simulate the eclipse.
Yep.
Great, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, Praya, could you just share
Yeah.
the stellarium screen? I'll stop sharing.
Sure. Okay. Let me see. Okay. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you able to see Stellarium?
No, we are seeing your browser actually.
Oh, okay. Just
Meanwhile, we are also getting video feed from Nilay. He's showing his camera screen where we can see live eclipse.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Yes.
Just spotlight it. Wow. So that's great.
beautiful.
So Brad, maybe you
Yeah.
can go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. Now you can see the screen, right?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So this is actually the location of this Stellarium demo is set to San Francisco, and we can easily change it. So this is the Stellarium software, and let us go and change it to Pune first. Let's see how the moon is looking from Pune right now. All right. Yeah. So this is the sky from Pune for the moment. As you can see, it's broad daylight and we are not able to see the moon. But because the software is capable of going to different cities, we can hop in again back to San Francisco, where our friend Neela is sharing the screen. So as you can see, the moon is almost about to set. So this is the image in the past. Now let's see how the eclipse travels, how the shadow travels on moon's surface. So right now, the moon is entirely eclipsed. This is the state right now. But let's see how it went into the shadow and how it will get out of it. All right.
Brad, maybe you can log in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So as you can see, the moon is moving out of the shadow. Now this is in the past. Now we'll go slowly into the future. So this was before the moon went into an eclipse. Now we'll speed up yeah, right there. It's almost past the first contact. The moon has been covered by Earth's shadow. Now we'll slowly start going forward. And as you can see, the shadow is increasing. More and more part of the moon is getting covered. And as we move to the totality, this is almost towards totality. As we move closer to it, we get into complete pitch darkness, and that's when the redness of the moon comes forward. So just near totality, you can see the moon turning red. Now, on YouTube and even on Facebook Live, there have been different questions. Many people have been asking why the moon turns red. So, and why can't we see it red on any other days? So, on any other day, at least some part of the moon is illuminated by sun directly. So that's why we can see the shine. We can see the sunlight directly falling onto moon's surface. But when it is in an eclipse, and when it is completely covered by the eclipse, completely covered by Earth's shadow, the only light reaching moon is the light diffracted from the disk of Earth. Okay, so imagine the moon being behind Earth, completely in its shadow, and the disk of Earth, which is visible from moon. From that disk, the light is getting diffracted, and because red light has the highest wavelength, it is the only light which reaches moon's surface, and that's why only during an eclipse you can see a red color. On every other day we can see white color, which consists of all the all pure colors together. But when it's an eclipse, only the highest wavelength light can pass through Earth's atmosphere. Everything else is scattered in Earth's atmosphere. All right. Now let's also see whether this same phenomenon can be observed from Melbourne, when our another friend is streaming from.
So just one thing I would love to add here.
Sure.
From southern hemisphere, when you look at these celestial objects and moon, it looks upside down. Correct. Just because of the inclination. So, you know, when you actually did run the Stellarium software, if you run it from, if you set location as a Melbourne, you will see move it in the other direction.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So as we can see, the shadow is moving in the opposite direction than it did from San Francisco, and this is simply because Melbourne is in the southern hemisphere. So,
sorry, we just want to share one of the images that we have taken.
Oh,
from
sure.
Melbourne.
Yes, yes.
Definitely.
Definitely.
It's a black screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
So Mandar wants to share something.
This is just now, I think, taken that image. And I'll take few more. It's looking amazing.
Nilay, you also have image.
Yes, actually the one that I was just sharing was just a couple of minutes ago. Not even a couple, I think just one. So yeah, I think you can see here, like in this image, the darker limb is down here, whereas in Kima's images or Mandar's images, it was down here, so you can see how it's flipped in here.
I think totality must have ended, right?
Yes, that's right.
So do you have an image after totality?
Yes, just give me a moment.
So till the time we have next update, maybe prior you can believe. Hello, Prayag, are you there? Hello. Hello, Prayag.
I guess Prag got disconnected. He's not visible in the participants list. We can. Okay, yes, he's back. Prayag?
Yes.
Prayag, could you please continue with Stellarium presentation?
Oh, yes. So let me share the screen again. Yeah. Okay. I guess it is visible again.
Not yet.
You cannot see the screen yet? Okay, I'll try to do it again.
Just
How about now?
yes, you can see.
Okay, yeah, all right. So we had last time we had selected the location as Melbourne, and we were looking at how the eclipse started and how it follow and how it ended. So this is the current state of eclipse in Melbourne, as is also evident from the photos that our members have shared. If you observe closely, the eclipse is in the opposite side or diagonally opposite upside down side of what it was from San Francisco. So yeah, there you can see we are going in the past, and the shadow is being cast from right to left, whereas in case of San Francisco it was the opposite. We lost it. There it is. Okay, so I'll stop sharing the Stellarium screen and start sharing one of the browser screens to explain in detail why the color red is being is appearing. So let me just do that for a moment.
Sure. So
Yes. All right. All right. So I guess everyone can see this image.
yes.
Yeah, the screen is visible. Okay. So this is exactly what is happening right now. The moon is in the shadow of Earth, and sun is on the other side. So all the light that is coming from sun is getting blocked by Earth and is not reaching moon. Now from the edges of Earth, from if you are standing on moon, what you will see of Earth? you'll just see a ring, right? Just a disk, just a circular disk. And from the edges of that circular disk, the light is being diffracted. You can see the change in the angle of incident rays. Now, why only the red light is being diffracted? Because every other light is being scattered by Earth's atmosphere. So Earth has a thick atmosphere, and because of that, all the wavelengths which are smaller, which are cramped together or smaller than red, are being scattered, and that's why we see the sky blue. But all the wavelengths which are slightly in the reddish area are permitted or are not affected by the scattering of atmosphere, and because their wavelength is higher, they can pass right through, but with a smaller diffraction, and that's why you can see the red color. So last time in 2018, when a similar lunar eclipse occurred, I read a beautiful description of this phenomenon somewhere. It was someone on Twitter who wrote that during a total lunar eclipse, the reddishness which we see on moon is actually the reflection of all the sunrises and sunsets everywhere on Earth simultaneously. So I just wanted to share that with all of you. All right. Yeah. Do we have next images? If not, I can continue with Stellarium.
Yeah. Nilay or Kimaya, do we have?
Sagar, actually my view is obstructed by a tree right now, so I'm trying to move a different viewpoint. Just give me a few minutes.
It is almost close to the horizon, so we might lose the moon itself.
All right, can you see the image now?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just going to the other place to just capture the lakeside reflection.
Mm.
So I'll just get that one and share that.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
So maybe till the time we get next image, Praya, you can continue.
Yes, sure.
The stream on the YouTube stream is blank right now.
Okay.
Refresh it, please.
Yeah. So Praya, you can continue.
Yeah. Okay. Let me share the screen. All right. I hope this screen is visible to everyone. So this is from our. I'm currently on the Instagram page of Jyotirvidya Parisanstha. So I'm about to show you some lunar eclipse images which we captured in 2018. So in 2018, in the month of January and February, we had two back-to-back total lunar eclipses visible from Pune, and we had an opportunity to document them. So yeah, this is one of my favorite images. I hope everyone is able to see this. This was captured by Nisarga, one of our members, and it was captured from the start. And so at that time, the lunar eclipse started before the moon was rising. So this is how it progressed, and finally this is how it ended. you can see the moon in all stages during the lunar eclipse. And this was one of my favorite images. I guess we also have, okay, we don't have the other one. Sure, we can go back to Stellarium, or we can also answer some of the questions which have been asked in the chat. I think there were some questions on the chat of YouTube. If anyone who is listening to this stream has any questions, you can ask us in the chat. For now, let's go to Stellarium again. Oops. Okay, so again, we are still in Melbourne, and that is how that's the elevation of moon right now for Melbourne. So it is not very close to the horizon, so we still have time. We won't lose the moon from Melbourne, but certainly we would lose it from San Francisco very soon because it is going to set. And now let's go forward in time and see how the moon is coming out of the eclipse. So now you can see slowly the Earth's shadow is receding, and the full moon is being visible again. I think Kimaya is sharing one more photo. You want to share the screen, Kimaya? She's not audible right now. Let's wait for her. Okay. So till then, we'll keep looking at moon.
Moon is
Okay.
coming out of eclipse now.
Mm-hmm.
Now it will show now all the crystal back. You see? To mute or Asmi?
No.
Are you on the mute?
No.
All right. Yes, as you can see, the white light, which is the direct sunlight being reflected from the surface of moon, is slowly returning, and the diffracted light from Earth's atmosphere is slowly becoming fainter and fainter. So eventually, the entire disk of moon will be white again, and we will have to wait for another lunar eclipse.
Yeah, I don't know.
Until we see the red color again.
I have some latest images as well.
Yeah, sure. Please share the screen.
I appreciate it. Thanks. There we go. $200, that's just way too low. I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but in my opinion, these are worth it much.
Just a minute.
Hey, I got it.
This is the tree I was talking about. There's some obstruction, I think. Still you can see.
Okay, so the totality has definitely passed. Nilay, keep sharing the screen.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, as we can see, the totality has.
Yeah, there's some obstruction down here because of trees, so I had to click some handheld photos, so maybe the clarity is not the best on these pictures, but yeah, you can see how the totality has started going up now.
Yep. We can still see the features on the red part of the moon. So this is still an amazing capture. All right. So as Nilay mentioned, the trees are going to obstruct the view now, and the moon will slowly recede into behind the horizon. Yeah, as evident from this picture as well. This is not; these aren't the features of moon. This is something on the landscape, probably some trees. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess now this is again the sky of Cincinnati. Now let's see what I was able to see. I wasn't as fortunate as Neelay or Kimaya or Milind. So what I saw wasn't that impressive, but it was still something. I was able to see the penumbral lunar eclipse and just a slight shadow of the partial solar eclipse, partial lunar eclipse. So yeah, it all started. The penumbral lunar eclipse started around 4:44 a.m. in the morning. So we'll quickly go back to that time. Yeah. So you can slowly see how the color, now this is the maximum brightness. You'll see how the color goes on fading. And so at 4:44, the color started fading. The brightness started dipping. And slowly you can see it was almost orangish in color. And then at 5:30, around 5.
Nira, can you also share one of the photo from your end?
All right, Neela wasn't able to share a very high resolution photo, but I have some screenshots from the images that he shared of his screen, and let me see if I can share that. All right.
Okay. Hey, Brett, sorry, I'm here. I got a latest image.
All right. Yeah, sure. Please go ahead and share the screen. Perfect. Now you can see both the videos, Kimoya's video and Nilay's video. So one is from San Francisco, USA, and one is from Melbourne, Australia. You can see that the moon is upside down. You can even compare the features. If you look at the dark spots on the surface of moon, you can compare them, and you can easily find out that the two observers are from different hemispheres.
Yeah, you can see that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's mind blowing. We are probably the first generation who is able to see this so easily.
You can take I think the snapshot of this
screenshot. Yep.
Screenshot. Yes.
Already done.
So actually, we have never tried to compare such two views, and we are lucky enough to get such views.
Yeah, that's really good. See the technology giving us this opportunity.
Sagar, the YouTube stream is going black again.
Actually, my streaming software is crashing.
Oh, okay.
So it will start again.
Yes, so we'll keep this setup for a few minutes. So as soon as we are back live on YouTube, all the YouTube viewers can also get this view.
Yes. So
Himaya or Milan, meanwhile, can you share the image like Nilay has done? Can you share this particular image
Yeah, we'll try
instead of
that.
the
Yeah.
video? Yeah.
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 Okay. Thank you. All right.
yes, I guess we are back on YouTube.
Okay, perfect. So until Kimaya and Milin get their images, let me just answer one of the questions that have been asked in the YouTube chat. So someone was asking why the lunar eclipse is not visible from India. So I would refer them to this page. This is from timeanddate.com. So this is the actual shape of all the parts on Earth that will be able to see this eclipse. So we'll quickly play this animation. Yeah, as you can see, yeah,
Actually,
this
we
is the
cannot see
partial
your
phase.
screen, Kaya.
Oh,
You
just
are
a
not
minute.
shared.
My bad. I think I did.
Just a minute. No,
Okay, is it visible now?
just a minute. Yes. Go ahead.
Perfect. All right. So this is a short animation of all the areas of Earth which can see the eclipse. So this is clearly the moon, and the darker regions, the darker shadow is actually the umbra, or you can say this is the region from where total lunar eclipse or even partial lunar eclipse will be visible, and all the other shades are penumbras. So you cannot see the entire, even a small part of moon being covered. So let's go ahead and play this animation. Yeah, as you can see, now this is partial lunar eclipse, and not the entire world is able to see it. Now let's go towards the totality. Now this is near totality. The moon has turned red, and none of the shadow can be seen from India. And even in US, let me see if I can, yeah, even in US, only the western coast, that's where San Francisco is located, can see it. I am somewhere in the middle, and that's why even I wasn't able to see the entire lunar eclipse. And now this is Australia, and somewhere over here, I guess somewhere over here, we have the city of Melbourne, and they are able to see moon quite at higher altitude. Perfect. So as we move towards the end of lunar eclipse, we some parts of India like Andaman Nicobar Islands and some parts of the northeastern states of India will be able to see the end of the eclipse. But the totality, as we can move back.
End of partial eclipse. Not even total.
Yeah, yeah. End of the partial eclipse can be seen from some parts of India, but the totality of lunar eclipse is not visible from any part of India, including the Andaman Nicobar Islands or any of the Indian states. So yeah, to answer the question from YouTube, this is why we weren't able to see lunar eclipse.
This was
Okay.
Okay, great. We have two photos from Nilay.
I've got the image as well. Mandar has taken image.
Perfect. Please share the screen.
Sorry, I'm not able to share my screen.
Can you see the image or not?
Yet.
Not yet.
No.
Could you please try sharing your screen again? I stopped Prag's screen. Yes, now it's visible.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And Neela, can you share the screen as well?
This is a photo taken by Mandar Joshi. Melbourne.
Now you can compare that with the northern hemisphere.
Actually, two screen sharing are not working simultaneously. You cannot see two share screens. Okay. But maybe Nilay can share his screen and can just keep on flipping this.
I can WhatsApp you the image.
Yeah, sure.
Both Neela and Kimaya, please send your images on the group. I can combine them and share one photo.
And 40% of the moon is now out from Amra.
So yeah, I just have one more image to show here. So this is again a long exposure so that you can see the reddish parts. But if I take a bit shorter exposure, now you can see again like the upper limb is starting to get. Also, I must mention one thing here that while I am, swapping the memory cards and displaying the images here, it's actually my wife Akanksha who is clicking the pictures, moving the camera. So many thanks to her as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Akanksha and Nilay. So, Nilay, if you have all the pictures with you right now, can you just show it from the beginning so that we can just have a quick overview of the entire eclipse and then maybe we can stop streaming? Nilay?
Yes, getting there.
Oh,
Okay, it
yeah.
was like very beginning. These are not sorted images, so you might get some shaky images in between. So please bear with me. This was like the very beginning. This is when I started getting some, longer exposures.
Nilay, maybe you can wait a little bit because it's taking some time to load image at our end.
Oh,
And then
okay. Sure. So this is very much into the totality. So this was the latest one I had, and this is actually the upper part, right? So you can clearly see.
Actually काही issue नव्हता मी issue
And Nilay, almost half of the movie is out of the Okay, great. So I think it's 5:45, and now let's stop our streaming. So
Yes.
everyone who are watching us live on Facebook and YouTube, thank you very much for joining with us today. So we had two feeds from California, US, and Melbourne, Australia. Thank you very much, Nilay, Kimaya, Mandar, for giving us feed from your place. Thank you very much. Have a good day. So let's stop.